Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. Well, it's Saturday, about 3:45. It's the 8th of March, still Saturday. That one says 42. This one says 6 degrees Celsius. Boy, 7 degrees Celsius, look at that. That one says 41. And the SunForce charger says my batteries are all charged up. And well, battery, that energizer in the back is charged up. Well, where am I? I'm all lost as usual. Work last night, just coming off a 3-day rotation, did all 3 days. I guess, one should feel good about working all your full rotation. I didn't take a day off. Next week's a 4-day rotation. I just don't feel like I'm going to work 4 days, but it appears as if the layoff is put off for now. So I should start conserving some vacation, or I'm going to run into a problem of I got things to do and I got no vacation time to do it. So from a storm damage point of view, that's Hoop Building 1. There's Hoop Building number 2. You know, that thing there is a trailer with kind of a swing set over it with the tarp over it. You can see it's pretty screwed up. The sheds seem to have lived. The umbrella over the mule, not so good. We could go to the other side. Yeah, I was going to head out to the barn, but I took a couple of steps, and it's kind of like you could take 3 steps, and then you kind of fall through the hard snow you end up in soft snow, and then, I flounder and so forth. So I gave it a shot, and then I wasn't going to be able to make it out there. My hip don't like that so much, that falling and floundering in snow. So we had to stop that. Okay, there's the other. Here, let me get a better angle at it. By the way, where there's not snow, the ground is very soft. There you are. There are those buildings. There's the hoop over a trailer. There's the other shed. So the barn, once again, I tried to get through there and I was kind of floundering, so I had to let that pass. The flea markets are beginning to advertise. The first big one is one of my favorites, is the first weekend of May. So looking all this stuff over, I got to have my act together by then. I've put a lot of thought into what I'm up to. Had some talks with the wife, and I guess this layoff thing is good because it's forcing me to do some real planning, right? When you have a job and you have enough money coming in, right? You have decent bucks coming in. You could be a little sloppy with the way you run your finances, let's say. You could kind of you could bail yourself out. I'm going to use the word bail yourself out. If the car breaks down and you have some extra money, I mean, in my case, obviously, I got a spare car sitting over there. I have an extra car on the road. Extra money means you can kind of bail yourself out. With the impending layoffs on my pension and investments, money, though we survive, would be tight. So with all that pending, I started to go into kind of a survival mode, and how am I going to do this? How do you want to invest, and so forth like that. And little things come up with that, like for insulating the ceiling here, right? You could buy the polystyrene or the foam or the rigid board or whatever you want to call it on Craigslist, and you could kind of get it half price. But a lot of times it's half price because it's a tad battered, and you save, instead of costing, the stuff I'm looking at is around, it's a little more than $20 a sheet, but call it, I like the foil face stuff. I want to use the foil face stuff. So for a number, let's make it $25 a sheet from Home Depot, and I need, what was that, 3 times 8, so 8, 16, 24. 24 times 5 is $600. So it's $300 if you get the battered stuff. Make it, $320, right? You got to pick up an extra few sheets. Actually make it, $350, because you got to pick up a few sheets. And they're a little further away. The Home Depot is relatively local. The stuff I've seen on Craigslist is a little bit of a ride, but call it $400. So I could save $200. But the battered sheets are going to be a lot more work. There'll be a lot more tape joints. There'll be more 2x4 connectors, right, to kind of splice little pieces together or splice it together where the corner's missing, right, as you put things together. So you kind of go back and forth. If I'm not working, I obviously have more time. So if it takes me a little more time and effort, but I save a couple $100, if I can save the couple $100 in a day, it's like picking up a day's salary of $200, right? So obviously that's something you want to do. But anyway, though it appears as if I'm going to be working for a little while longer, at least until Tuesday, which is the next possibility for layoffs, and then the Tuesday after that, and then the Tuesday after that, on and on until they finally decide to either give up on it or get it done with, and I'm still on the list or I'm off the list, right? So there's the layoff. But back to my plan as I babble. I do want to get this place insulated, and I want to get it insulated real time. Actually, I'd really like to get it insulated before the summer. Getting it insulated would not be all that hard. I got to kind of put a bridge along the edge to screw the insulation to, and then you just kind of put a little board and tuck it in underneath there and just string it along. What's going to make it pesty is, I mentioned that for the garage doors, I kind of want to fix those rails. And when I fix those rails, probably what will happen is there'll be, a strip, and then obviously you vary the joints, and then there'll be another 4-foot section on this side of the door, so to speak. Probably another 4-foot section, a strip. I don't know if that's 4 foot apart. No, it's probably more like 40 inches apart. So then there'll be a strip, so there will be some cutting and pasting in there, which means I'm probably going to end up having to buy an extra 3 sheets just to make sure, well, or at least another extra couple of sheets to make sure that I'm able to put the whole thing together neatly. I'm figuring if I insulate the ceiling here and make it somewhat airtight, let's call it airtight just for the laugh, any heat I put in here will go up to the ceiling with an inch of insulation, foam insulation. Obviously, it's not going to stay warm overnight or 3 days or anything like that, but the heat will go up, hit the ceiling, and then once again start working its way down to heat up the rest of the garage. This place is 24 by 24. Inside, call it 23 by 23, maybe even 22 by 22 from a length point of view. So, and it has a 9-foot ceiling. Not a huge room, but not a tiny room either. I have two possibilities for heating this place. I have a pellet stove I'm going to be retiring. It's got squeaky fans. I could probably nurse it along and it would be fine out here for a period of time. I also have a wood stove. Pluses and minuses for both. Wood is free, very big plus. Wood would also require a little bit more of a real chimney. The pellet stove, the chimney is going to be a lot easier. Pellets I got to buy. Pellet stove, considered more of a portable device, so kind of if I got caught with it in here, I could just say, oh, I was just using it temporarily and get it out of here, and it would probably not be all that big a deal to the building inspector. I'd probably, he'd probably yell at me. If he finds a wood stove in here, that's considered a much more serious heating appliance, and I'd probably get a little bit more than a little scolding. The pellet stove, and I'm loosely thinking about this. Thinking of setting up this door here so that I can open this, and perhaps in this opening, and actually even that opening, both openings, I'm considering putting some of that plexiglass stuff so I can let sun shine in, and at the same time I could set up the pellet stove with a little hole with the stack going out. I could put a little door for getting in and out of here. Actually, you should make the door open inward. Then I would have what I want. I would have light. I would have sunshine in the winter. I'd have heat of the pellet stove. And now I actually have a pretty nice shop. If I wanted to, I guess I can even plexiglass that side. Though that's the north side, wouldn't be getting any heat. The only thing it would allow me to do is if I open the door, I could look through the plexiglass and see what's going on outside. I would use that clear stuff. It kind of, looks like that. They use it for roofing too. So, yeah, that's my thought. That'd move this place along. This, I want to create a functional workshop. I want, if something's in here, if a vehicle is on the floor here, I want to be able to start it and drive it out. Unless it's something I'm currently working on, then obviously it's hard to drive something out if you're changing the rear end, right? But I want everything in here to be turnkey, startable, so that I can fire it up and drive it right out. I would also like some of the objects to be bigger, like that guy. I want it to be, so if I start that and drive it out, that gives me almost a bay, right? This guy gives me about a half a bay. So I want it set up like that. I've already told you guys on the lower garage, I want to move my backhoe from one side to the other and make it so that my backhoe loader is always accessible, always ready to run, always ready to go, so that all I have to do is perhaps plug it in for 15 minutes if it's cold out, turn the key, fire it up, drive it out. That means the front of the garage door needs to be clear. Obviously, it needs to be in good runnable shape so that I don't have to futz with that. I'm just looking at this thing. I'm thinking about tires. I'm considering pulling the tires off of, quite honestly, this guy here, Bluebird up there. Just undoing the bolts, sliding them off, sliding them right on the hubs, just to get this thing back in the sky. It's a pain in the neck having this thing run down. I mean, this tire's no good also, so back to that ability to roll things around. Right, it is a wicked pain in the ass to have to pick these guys up and try to drag them about, and some of them are heavy. This big red here, this thing weighs a ton, as you can imagine. Just look at the rack of it. Look at the amount of metal. Look at the size of the tires and wheels, the brakes, the rear end. Even this is only an X, but even it's pretty heavy. I could, I'm just lifting the weight off the shock, right? I'm not even picking it up. Alright guys, so just to show you, the weather is warming up. Today it's supposed to be somewhere around 50. The door's been open a while. Let's see what we achieved when it comes to how warm did it get. That says almost 44. This is 43. So it got to the mid 40s. If you listen, let me be quiet for a second. Hear that sound? That's the snow melting off the roof. The snow is starting to, if you get a bare spot, like I only shoveled that one shovel wide, and you can see it's twice that. So anywhere there's a bare spot or something dark like that leaf there, right? You can see how it's kind of caved in around the leaf. So it is melting. The solar energy is bringing it down finally. We're supposed to be good. Not supposed to see any other real snow or possibility snow until midweek, and we're supposed to, 20s at night, high 30s or 40 during the day. Great for making maple syrup, so folks will be doing that. But it'll start moving all this along in the right direction. Start melting it down, get it so that we can move. One of the problems right now, though, is even with my backhoe loader, I could go right through this. But in most places underneath this, it's actually thawed. So, though I can get out to the sheds perhaps with it, without getting wet feet and without breaking myself or anything. The bad thing is, on the way back, chances are I'm going to end up wallowing in the mud and making a huge mess that I'm only going to have to clean up in the spring. So sometimes it pays to just hold your cards and not create more work for yourself. Tomorrow, my wife has a piano recital, so I am going to be tied up in the afternoon. But my big push is to get this thing, turn this thing into a roller. I was asked to video part of the rear end change. For many of you, that won't be too strenuous. It's not too hard an activity, but just showing where some of the bolts are hidden and just making some commentary about how to get them to loosen up without breaking things is frequently handy. A lot of times I'll watch videos on YouTube on stuff I know how to do perfectly well, but just seeing how people get certain bolts loose or the tools they're using that I may not have, or quite honestly the commentary that you hear as it's going along, right? Most of us try to tell a story as we're working, so a lot of times that makes it a little more interesting. But turning this thing into a roller tomorrow, or particularly this rotation off, get the front fender cleaned up, turn it into a roller, and as a matter of fact, it's really startable, runnable. So firing it up and getting it so that I could drive it around. You guys remember when I mentioned that I lost this and I found it over here? Well, I did, and I was saying that, yeah, probably the new one's going to show up today. The new one showed up on exactly the same day that I found the one I lost. So now I have a spare, which is good. But just my disorganization has cost me. One of the other things I need to do, I really need to go through my tire hoard. These are split rims. You can take these rims apart for changing the tire. Some people like them, some people don't. I have a tendency to put tubes in them. They seem to hold air better that way. So I'll probably get the tires off of these and keep the rims. But as you can see, you kind of begin collecting some of this crap, right? And it takes up space, so that's something else I got to do. I got to get myself organized. Getting to be a very long video, so thanks to all of you who made it to the end. 20 minutes, a long video. Thanks for watching, commenting, subscribing. Remember to keep your tires down, your steering wheel up, your handlebars up, your head up. tracks and feet down. Live, love, and have a great time. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Horde. Thanks for watching, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you all soon. Bye now.